Makena, the healer of Uzima Valley, was a woman of great wisdom and beauty. Though respected by all, she carried a quiet sorrow in her heart. Her husband, a brave warrior, had died many years ago, leaving her to raise their son, Kato, alone. Kato had grown into a strong and honorable young man, a skilled hunter who brought pride to the village. Yet, Makena often found herself longing for companionship, a feeling she buried deep within her. She focused on her work, healing the sick and guiding the villagers, but the emptiness in her heart remained. Kato's closest friend was Jabari, a man known for his charm and adventurous spirit. The two had been inseparable since childhood, sharing everything from hunts to dreams of the future. Jabari often visited Kato's home, where Makena treated him like a second son. The trio shared laughter and stories, and their bond seemed unbreakable. But as the years passed, Jabari began to notice Makena in a new light. Her grace and wisdom stirred something in him, though he dared not speak of it. He buried his feelings, fearing the consequences of such a forbidden love. The annual harvest festival was a time of joy and celebration in Uzima Valley. Jabari arrived at Makena's home with gifts of honey and woven baskets, as was their tradition. But this year, something felt different. Makena noticed the way Jabari's eyes lingered on her, and she felt a warmth she hadn't known in years. She tried to ignore it, but the more time they spent together, the harder it became. Jabari, too, found himself drawn to Makena's strength and kindness. The festival, once a time of joy, now carried the weight of unspoken emotions. One evening, as the moon cast its silver light over the valley, Jabari found himself unable to sleep. He wandered to the river, where he found Makena sitting by the water, lost in thought. "Makena," he said softly, "I must tell you something." She turned to him, her eyes filled with curiosity. "I have feelings for you," he confessed. Makena's heart raced. She had felt the same but feared the consequences. "Jabari," she whispered, "this is dangerous." "What of Kato?" Jabari took her hand. "I cannot deny my heart, even if it means losing everything." Jabari knew he had to tell Kato the truth. He found his friend by the fire, sharpening his spear. "Brother," Jabari began, "there is something I must tell you. It's about your mother." Kato looked up, confused. "What about her?" Jabari took a deep breath. "I have feelings for her, Kato. I think I am in love with her." Kato's face darkened. He stood, his hands clenched into fists. "You dare speak of my mother this way? You, who I called brother. This is a betrayal I cannot forgive." Jabari tried to explain, but Kato would not listen. Enraged, Kato banished Jabari from his home. "If I see you near my mother again," he growled, "you will regret it." Jabari left, his heart heavy with sorrow. Makena watched from a distance, tears streaming down her face. She knew her son's anger was justified, but her heart ached for Jabari. That night, she prayed to the ancestors for guidance, but no answer came. The village buzzed with whispers of the confrontation, and Makena felt the weight of their judgment. She wondered if she had made a mistake by allowing her feelings to grow. Despite Kato's warning, Makena and Jabari could not stay apart. They began to meet in secret, stealing moments under the baobab trees. Makena felt alive again, but her heart was heavy with guilt. She knew her son would never understand. Jabari, too, struggled with the weight of their secret. "Makena," he said one evening, "I cannot live like this. I want to be with you openly, no matter the cost." Makena sighed. "And what of Kato?" "He is my son, Jabari. I cannot lose him." Jabari took her hand. "We will find a way." One night, Jabari came to Makena with a gift, a necklace made of polished stones and cowrie shells. "Makena," he said, kneeling before her, "You are the light of my life. Will you marry me and let me spend my days loving you?" Tears filled Makena's eyes as she nodded. "Yes, Jabari. I will." But their joy was short-lived. Kato soon discovered their secret. He stumbled upon them one evening as they walked hand in hand near the river. Furious, he confronted them. "How could you do this to me?" he shouted. "You have both betrayed my trust." Despite Kato's anger, Makena and Jabari decided to move forward with their wedding. They hoped that time would soften Kato's heart, but he remained steadfast in his disapproval. The village buzzed with gossip, and Makena felt the weight of their judgment. Still, she held her head high, determined to follow her heart. Jabari, too, remained resolute. "We will prove to Kato that our love is true," he said. But deep down, they both feared the consequences of their actions. The wedding day approached, and tensions in the village grew. On the eve of the wedding, Kato confronted his mother one last time. "Mother," he pleaded, "please reconsider. This will only bring pain." Makena looked at her son, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Kato, I love you, but I cannot deny my heart. Jabari makes me happy, and I hope one day you will understand." Kato's heart hardened. "If you choose him over me, do not expect my blessing." Makena's heart ached, but she knew there was no turning back. The next day, the village gathered for the wedding, unaware of the storm that was about to unfold. The wedding day arrived, and the village was filled with music and laughter. Makena looked radiant in her wedding attire, and Jabari stood proudly at the altar. But as the ceremony began, Kato emerged from the shadows, his face twisted with anger. In his hand, he held a spear. "I object," he roared, his voice echoing through the valley. The crowd fell silent, their eyes wide with fear. Jabari stepped forward, his hands raised in peace. "Kato, please. Let us talk. I love your mother, and I would never harm her." But Kato was beyond reason. In a fit of rage, he hurled the spear at Jabari. The crowd gasped as Jabari fell to the ground, his life slipping away. Makena rushed to his side, her tears falling like rain. Kato stood frozen, the weight of his actions crashing down on him. The villagers whispered among themselves, their hearts heavy with sorrow. Kato dropped to his knees, his anger replaced by grief. "What have I done?" he whispered. Makena looked at her son, her eyes filled with pain. "You have let your anger destroy the ones who love you." The village mourned the loss of Jabari, and Makena's heart was shattered. She withdrew from her healing work, consumed by grief. Kato, too, was haunted by his actions. He wandered the hills of Uzima Valley, seeking solace but finding none. The villagers whispered of the tragedy, and the once thriving community was now shrouded in sorrow. Makena prayed to the ancestors for guidance, but no answer came. She wondered if she would ever find peace again. Kato left the village, unable to face his mother or the judgment of the villagers. He wandered the land, seeking redemption but finding only guilt. He often dreamed of Jabari, his once beloved friend, and the life they had shared. The weight of his actions pressed heavily on his soul, and he wondered if he would ever be forgiven. Meanwhile, Makena remained in the village, her heart heavy with loss. She prayed for her son's return, but deep down, she feared he was lost forever. Months passed, and Makena slowly returned to her healing work. The villagers, though still wary, began to seek her guidance once more. She found solace in helping others, but the pain of losing Jabari and Kato never left her. One day, a traveler arrived in the village, bringing news of Kato. "He wanders the land, a broken man," the traveler said. Makena's heart ached for her son, and she vowed to find him and bring him home. Makena set out on a journey to find her son. She traveled through forests and across rivers, following the trail of his wanderings. Along the way, she encountered many who had seen Kato, each describing him as a man consumed by guilt. Makena's heart grew heavier with each step, but she pressed on, determined to reunite with her son. She prayed to the ancestors for strength, hoping they would guide her to Kato. After many days of travel, Makena found Kato sitting by a river, his face gaunt and his eyes hollow. "Kato," she called softly. He looked up, his eyes filled with tears. "Mother," he whispered, "I am so sorry." Makena embraced her son, her heart overflowing with love and sorrow. "We cannot change the past," she said, "but we can heal together." Kato wept in her arms, finally allowing himself to feel the weight of his grief. Together, they began the journey back to Uzima Valley. The villagers welcomed Makena and Kato back with cautious smiles. Though the scars of the past remained, there was hope for healing. Makena resumed her healing work, and Kato began to rebuild his life. He sought forgiveness from the villagers and dedicated himself to honoring Jabari's memory. Slowly, the village began to heal, and the bonds of family and community grew stronger. Years passed, and Makena grew old, her wisdom and kindness revered by all. Kato became a respected leader in the village, known for his strength and compassion. The tale of Makena and the forbidden flame became a lesson for future generations, a reminder of the power of love and the dangers of unchecked anger. The villagers honored Jabari's memory, ensuring that his spirit lived on in their hearts. As Makena lay on her deathbed, surrounded by her family and friends, she smiled. She had lived a life full of love, loss, and redemption. Kato held her hand, his eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Mother," he said. "You taught me the true meaning of forgiveness." Makena closed her eyes, her heart at peace. She knew that her legacy would live on in the hearts of those she had touched. And as her spirit joined the ancestors, the village of Uzima Valley celebrated her life, knowing that her story would be told for generations to come.
Please support us by subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, so you won't miss our upcoming videos. Your support means the world to us.